Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise. It's both available on the Nintendo Switch and on PC. And today I want to go over a brand new developer campaign update. These are pretty much updates that the developers have kind of been putting out since I believe the beginning of August of last year, where they basically took to social media and provided us screenshots and developer detail, developer updates on some of the things, key places, monsters, characters, anything along those lines, to give us a little bit of more intricate details as to what the development cycle was like, coming up with the ideas for some of these places, again, things or people or even monsters themselves, so players can have a better understanding of the bigger world at large as developers see it. So in the first developer update that we see here, the Japanese description, which I'm going to translate, reads as follows. The sunset in the desert is cool everywhere in terms of location, regardless of where you're located. It is a point of interest that the developer team really decided to focus on. The colors blend very well with the terrain, which looks very nice. And then of course they attach an image alongside with it, and we get a closer look at a hunter kind of seeping over the distance in the sandy plains here in Monster Hunter Rise, wearing full Tigrex armor with their palico as well, kind of glossing over the distance as they see the sun setting along the horizon, and you kind of get to see pretty much the top side of most of the mountains. Now do remember this is a two-layered map. While a lot of people don't necessarily consider it, the third layer is actually the top of the mountains, which you can reach in certain positions, like in certain places of the map, that probably you are not going to explore unless you're willing to go out of your way, mostly because monsters don't ever really go there. That's actually one of the biggest criticisms I've seen people post with some of the map designs, is that like there's a lot of places that you just never really see monsters kind of like go a certain way. The western side of the sandy plains, for example, almost never gets used. There's like interesting crevices and stuff like that. There's just like monsters will never go there. Hunters just kind of go there by exploring, but there's really nothing there unless you are willing to go out of your way to collect stuff or find the lost swords. And the peak of the sandy desert as well, sandy plains, is another place that monsters will just simply never go there. So unless you're actually willing to go out of your way to check out the view itself, you're never really going to find these places naturally. Now moving over to the second developer update, it reads as follows. Both the moon and the surface of the water are naturally reflecting on top of each other. In the past work, there was a huge tree in the distance view, but since time has passed, it became weathered and perhaps even withered. Is there a newly second growing tree as part of the new generation? And with the image being attached, now we actually get to see another hunter still wearing Tigrex armor with their palico. Now you actually get to see the Palamute as well. And they're standing in front of the lake. This is one of the more central areas of the map. There's a little bit of a waterfall, which I actually never noticed before. And they are, of course, talking about the moon out in the distance, and kind of like a small-ish tree, but bigger than all the other trees combined. Kind of like hovering over the entire kind of like horizon view, if you will. Now the interesting thing here is that the post itself does mention that in the previous work there was a massive tree that perhaps weathered and withered away, and I had to look this up because remember, the Sandy Plains is a map that was pretty much available, I believe, in Monster Hunter 3. It was one of the original maps in that game, and I had to look this up, and I actually found this really interesting screenshot, which you should be seeing on screen right now, of kind of exactly what they're talking about. There was this massive tree which I had completely forgotten everything about, and there was this big massive tree kind of like in the middle of the map, and it kind of hovered everything. So in that game, basically, it was kind of like one of the biggest features of the map. Even though it was a desert map, it did have a huge tree in the middle. And even in like the cover art as well for like the map itself, which I'm also going to be showing on screen right now, you should be able to see that as well. It was also heavily featured there. That is no longer the case. That tree is missing, exactly. And like they're saying here in this developer update, and basically they are saying like maybe this is the new generation of that tree. That tree that is seeing in that post that they shared perhaps is the new generation of that same tree. We don't necessarily know, but I guess is what they're trying to say here is that while we do know that the Sandy Plains in Monster Hunter Rise is kind of like a reimagined version of the original map, What they are kind of suggesting is that it's maybe just time passed. Essentially, this is the same map, but years later, many years later. So presumably this is something that, you know, when you start looking at the lore or the way that they view the game when it comes to like the original Monster Hunters, Rise kind of takes place many years after the original Monster Hunters 1, 2, and who were, I believe, connected through a really interesting timeline. But that's about all the information that I wanted to go over today. I always love these developer updates. They always provide us with something interesting, worth considering to, you know, anyone who's actually interested in the lore of this game. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.